Um, So today I'll be speaking on a topic that affects almost every young person we see in our clinics today. That is the emotional domino effect, how Instagram triggers mood and behavior changes in Gen Z and Gen Alpha. So first, why Instagram? Why I have chosen only Instagram? Because over the past few decades, Instagram has evolved from a simple photo sharing app into a social arena where validation, comparison, and identity are constantly negotiated. It is one of the most visually dependent social networking sites, and the younger generation has been shifted from Facebook, YouTube to Instagram. As in India, TikTok has been banned, and so most of the younger generation have become Instagrammer. And the visual first design aligns with both generations prefers for are the short, rich, and immersive media. So nowadays, almost all the Gen Zs and most of the Gen Alphas have their Instagram account, and most of them are digital personas. For them, it's not just an app; it's an emotional environment. While it fosters creativity and belonging, that very environment is shaping how they think, feel, and behave, often without them realizing it. On one hand, the platform encourages creativity and connections. In the same hand, it fosters comparison, competition, emotional reactivity, constant self-monitoring, and dependence on external validation. And this complex digital environment sets the stage for what I call the emotional domino effect. So let's explore how something as small as a like, a comment, or a post can set off a cascade, a domino effect on mood as well as behavior. So why I have chosen these two generations? As you can see, the Gen Zs, or also who are also known as the digital natives, are the first generation to grow up with smartphones, social media, and streaming from very early adolescence. They are commonly defined as those born between 1997 to 2012. And Generation Alphas are the first generation born entirely into a world of touchscreens, AI systems, and on demand media. They are described as the most formally educated, globally exposed, and technologically immersed generation, and commonly defined as those born from 2010 onward. Here you can see that in India, the India has a peak position that is 229.55 million Instagram users, followed by US with 143.35 million users and Brazil with 113.5 million users. So before diving into the main topic, let's me start with a case that I saw recently in my clinic. A 14-year-old girl, an Instagram content creator, her initial post received enthusiastic engagement, high likes, high encouraging comments, and peer appreciation. 1 week, a new reel got significantly fewer views and likes. She kept reopening the app every few minutes, hoping the numbers would rise. But the next day she felt anxious, deleted the video, and tried to repost it. Even then, the engagement stayed low. She became irritable at home, withdrawn in class, and preoccupied with thoughts like maybe people don't like me anymore. And over the next few weeks, her sleep worsened, her screen time increased late at night, and she began avoiding offline activities she once enjoyed. And this was not a simple disappointment. This was the start of an emotional chain reaction. What happened to her, I'll discuss in the later part of my presentation. So there is another example of a 10-year-old boy admitted in a pediatric ward with episodes of hyperventilation and gasping. The trigger? He made a turmeric light reel for fun. It was very viral few months back in India, where turmeric is poured into an illuminated glass, and a trending viral song was playing behind. Everyone is doing the reel, and the boy also recreated the same. But after some time, again another reel became viral, suggesting that those who have created the first one has evoked some tantric process and will be hunted. Upon seeing the second reel, he got extremely terrified. He did not share it with anyone, and after a few days, he was admitted. So the question is, how does one small interaction on Instagram snowball into such an intense emotional and physical reactions? And to understand that, we need to talk about something called the emotional domino effect. So what exactly is the domino effect? As you all know, the domino effect refers to a chain reaction, where one event sets off a sequence of similar events, like a line of standing dominoes falling one after another when the first one is pushed. And in a psychological or social context, it means one emotional or behavior changes triggers a series of other changes in mood, in behavior, in thought and actions, often spreading to others or escalating over time. And the Instagram's emotional domino effect refers to the phenomenon where one small online experience, like not getting enough likes, like in our cases, or a negative comment, a friend's story you are not in, triggers a cascade of emotional, cognitive, and behavior shift. So, what is the neurobiology behind it? As we are talking, our brain is undergoing rewiring in the real time. Earlier, we had TVs, radios with timely stimulation of our reward pathways. But now, the media landscape is dominated by platforms like Instagram, which are engineered for instantaneous gratification and short bursts of attention. By introducing vertical video clips, 15-second reels, trending hashtags, and all of these platforms regards engagement above all else. Every scroll, every like, every notification targets the same reward cycle: more novelty, more shock, and more instantaneous gratification. And for the message we are receiving is not some dances or dog memes, but the deeper message is that the brain should expect immediate rewards at all the times, and the result is a relentless cycle of seeking reward. In contrary to the ancient times, where careful neuroplasticity took generations, in present time, with the revolution of smartphones and rise of social media, the neuroplasticity went into hyperdrive. The brain got trained to receive immediate rewards all the time, and the mediums design endless scrolling, autoplay, infinite content, and conditions are cognitive patterns. So, how scrolling through Instagram impacts the mood and behavior? Gen Zs and Gen Alpha might think that they have control over what they watch, they are choosing what they watch, but the truth is that the medium chooses how they or we think, and that's how they are sort of being controlled by. So let's explore how Instagram is setting this cascade of reactions. First domino is the visual trigger, and as you all know that Instagram is highly visual. Anything, a reel, a story, an ideal body of a celebrity or a vacation photo, a peer's achievement, anything can be a trigger. And once the trigger happens, the brain does something automatically. It starts comparing. And in Gen Z and Gen Alpha, this comparison is almost constant. And when young people see perfect bodies, perfect relationship, and perfect achievement, they automatically compare themselves that do I look like that, or why is their life so perfect? And these comparisons leads to self-doubt, insecurity, I am not good enough type of thoughts. And this is the second domino, the emotional shift from envy, anxiety, inadequacy, as well as loneliness. So the next domino falls. And also it also causes cognitive distortions like personalization, negative filtering. To manage these feelings, many young people post something to feel better, to get likes, comments, and reassurance. But now a new chain begins: posting, waiting for likes, checking again and again, feeling anxious if engagement is low, and this approval craving becomes another domino chain of anxiety. The fifth domino, that is the FOMO, fear of missing out, which means fear of being left behind in any case. For example, the newer trends or fashion, it is another domino. So to combat this FOMO, Gen Z and Gen Alpha feel pressure to maintain an online persona, to look in a certain way, post the right photos, or maintain an aesthetic lifestyle. This pressure to keep up or present a particular version of themselves creates a constant worry. What will people think? What will this get enough likes? Do I look good enough? And over the time, this constant need to manage an online persona adds to their anxiety and makes them feel mentally overloaded. So the negative feedback, social comparison, perceived rejection or inadequacy activates the stress pathway, that is the HPA axis, which causes increased anxiety and emotional arousal. The late light scrolling delays the melatonin release, which causes poor sleep, poor attention, and emotional instability. And this increases the drop in academics, less outdoor activities, reduced motivations, and irritability at home. So this is the ripple effect on daily life. The child feels drained, disconnected, and yet unable to put the phone down. These cycles become self-sustaining and leading to burnout, which is known as the brain rot, the Oxford Word of the Year 2024. And this is the last domino, the profound shift on how we process information. It means the cognitive decline as well as mental exhaustion experienced by individuals, particularly adolescents and young adults, due to excessive exposure to low quality online materials, especially on social media. What are the symptoms of brain rot? Spending prolonged hours of screen, anxiety or discomfort when away from mobile devices, reduced ability to focus on meaningful high value tasks, a little bit of body text and doom scrolling and zombie scrolling. As you have seen, the feed of this young generation have full of these kind of nonsense videos where, and these also affect their language also, they and their attention span, because they keeps on scrolling, just scrolling, they are even not engaging their attention also, but they just can't stop scrolling. And it's not a formally recognized medical condition, but it's very real, particularly among Gen Z and Gen Alpha. These absurd videos that I have told, in the younger generation find these amusing, that are fun, they are fast, and they reinforce a new neural wiring that quickly hit the amusement. And then, if you look into the repercussion of all these into younger generations, the Gen Z and Gen Alpha, the result is unprecedented. The brain rot effect of their brain, that instead of building deep conceptual understanding of anything, they skip along the surface of data screen, and instead of remembering what they saw, the Gen Zs and Gen Alpha rely on the internet as an external hard drive. The save button in the Instagram, they just save it to see it later whenever it will be needed. The short-term memory will not be formed. And instead of forming stable dopamine baseline where normal activities can also be satisfied, on young generation, our young generation has become dependent on micro doses of digital dopamine. So, what is the full cascade? The once the trigger happens, the brain does something automatically. The triggers the social comparisons, the validation seeking, emotional shift, psychological stress, daily life disruption, and the last, the brain rot and the long-term consequences. So the cases I have discussed before. The first one, the 14-year-old Instagram influencer. What happened? The girl initially experienced positive reinforcement through likes and comments, which strengthened her reward pathway and increased dependence on external validation. When one reel received fewer likes, the sudden drop in engagement and acted as a perceived social rejection, a powerful trigger during adolescence when identity and self-worth are closely tied to peer approval. And reopening the app repeatedly reflects anxiety-driven reassurance seeking, then deleting and reposting shows performance anxiety and fear of judgment. And low engagement led to thoughts like maybe people don't like me anymore. And this indicates the internalization of negative beliefs about self-worth. This leads to emotional dysregulations like irritability, low mood, mood swings, withdrawal behavior, then late night screen uses that worsens her sleep, increase emotional vulnerability. The poor sleep further impair mood stability and concentration, and over time there is avoidance of offline activities, that is the social withdrawal. The presentation aligns with adolescence anxiety, low self-esteem, and early depressive features, all precipitated and maintained by Instagram's validation-driven emotional domino effect. Then the second case, what happened to him, how the emotional domino effect act on him. As we all know, at around 10 years of age, children are in the late concrete operational stage of cognitive development. Limited ability to evaluate the credibility of online information, difficulty distinguishing fantasy versus reality in emotionally charged content, and higher susceptibility and increased fear response to supernatural or threatening narratives. The child's emotional reaction formed through a process similar to classical conditioning. The neutral stimulus was the reel that he initially recreated. The fear-inducing stimulus was the second reel that claimed that the child has made a video that will be and that he will be haunted. And the conditioned response is the fear, panic, and then dissociation. So when anxiety became overwhelming, the child experienced dissociative symptoms like brief unresponsiveness and was admitted. So this is the classic digital domino effect, a small online trigger leading to escalating psychological as well as physical symptoms. But what is the aftermath when all the dominoes have fallen? Research has shown that when young people spend a lot of time on Instagram like social media, they are more likely to feel sad, low, and mentally exhausted. And this does not happen at all at once. It be slowly like small domino falling and pushing the next. And when Gen Z and Gen Alpha scroll through Instagram, they mostly see perfect photos and reels, perfect bodies, and these which are not even sometimes these are not even real. They are selected, edited, and filtered. Still, watching these images again and again makes the many young people the idea that they are not good enough, leading to body image distress when they compare the celebrity photos which are edited and curated. Then anxiety and depression, sleep disturbances, as we have already seen in our patients. It also causes real addiction and decreased attention span. And Instagram users can greatly influence how people feel about their bodies, as we have seen that the unrealistic benchmark they have created causes body image distress in lots of patients. Most of the many patients we have seen have come to us for with body dysmorphia, with phobia, and sometimes they even want to visit plastic surgeons to make some changes in their bodies as per their validation. But what about the Gen Alpha, the first teenagers, kids who are born into this era of iPads and iPhones at the age 2, have neural pathways shaped by infinite feeds from day one. Study shows that Instagram Reels often replaces the real life conversation from a very early age. Kids spend hours consuming content but speak very little, leading to delayed vocabulary growth and one word or broken sentences. In our day-to-day practice, we are seeing many patients. We are coming across patients which showing autism-like features, but on assessment, we found that they don't have autism. But the delayed, but on poking the history, we got to know that from the very early age they are have interactions only with mobile phones. Parents are busy with their works, so their vocabulary development were slow. And after family therapy and after reinforcement, they started talking. And due to screen addictions and shortened attention cycles, reduced reading time, poor handwriting, teachers complain that they have seen students struggle to focus into a single lesson. Quick dopamine rewards make feasting boring. They cannot tolerate boredom and becomes restless. They become impatient with anything that is not immediately stimulating. And personalities are shaped by online trends before real identity can form. In a study in 2025, which was done in 2025, it was shown that parents concerned about that 80% of their child are have excessive screen time, 79% impact on attention span, and 76% are exposed to sexual content. So, as clinician, educator, and caregiver, we are now facing a generation whose emotional landscape is being shaped by an algorithm. As we come to the end of this presentation, I want to leave you with one thought that Instagram is not inherently harmful, but it is incredibly powerful, and anything powerful must be understood, respected, and used with awareness. But here is an hopeful part: the dominoes can be rebuilt, patterns can be rewired, and digital habits can be reshaped. But what is the domino you will first replace? Thank you so much.